You know I'm one of a kind, or so I've been told. No matter where we go, I know we're gonna make it. No matter where we
Cool. Okay, trying to break my ankle. Where did it go? So breakfast, some super thick oatmeal because I hate running oatmeal, and another doggone coffee. Oh my god, it's just so good. Ugh, so much sugar though. Look at that frothy goodness. Anyway, Sunday morning. It's early. I'm tired, but I've been asleep for a while, so I went to sleep early last night. I just showed you my breakfast oatmeal. This is my lunch. I needed to use this last of this cucumber, and I needed to use the last of this celery. And I struggled with the peanut buttering part. And I don't have any raisins because I really love ants on a log. I just got logs, no ants. So yeah, that's it. That's lunch. Hey guys, for dinner I'm having spaghetti with meatballs, sauce, and garlic bread. And I just want to apologize again for the mix-up because the subtitles are out of order and it is confusing. And I want to apologize for that. Everything I eat, like I eat in the day. Sometimes I have snacks like carrots later at night, but Hey you guys, so I know I don't look good, but I just kind of wanted to talk about like this shit that I went through, because it's some medical stuff and a lot of women's health isn't talked about enough. So when I was 36, I think it was 2000, let's see. 2018? Must have been 2018. Yeah. I had previously, like within the last year, had been in the ER for blood transfusions for my hemorrhaging during my menstrual cycle, menorrhagia, which is literally just hemorrhaging during menstruation. And I was directed to a gynecologist who told me about the options that, of course, for women at my age at the time, hysterectomy was not, it wasn't exactly a thing that was recommended for anything but the most severe type of cases. But he told me about endometrial ablation. And endometrial ablation is using some form of tool that causes a very high heat to literally burn the endometrium, creating scar tissue so the endometrium cannot grow back, thus minimizing, or in some cases, like hopeful cases, stopping your period altogether. There are risks involved. They told me about if I were planning on getting pregnant to not do this, because once you have the procedure done, you can never have the guarantee that you'll have a normal, safe pregnancy. If there are flaws in the procedure and the endometrium grows back, you can get pregnant, but it's not likely that you'll carry a fetus to term. The bigger concern is that you can have ectopic pregnancy, which is when a fertilized egg implants in the tubes and the fallopian tubes, and this fallopian tube obviously cannot grow with a fetus and can cause internal bleeding, and at worst it can rupture, hemorrhage, and the mother can die. There are a lot of anecdotes about hospitals and doctors refusing to perform abortions on ectopic pregnancies. I forgot to sneeze. Excuse me. And it's like, even back then, it was, definitely something to be concerned about. So for me, I was not planning on having more kids. I already had 2 kids who were young teenagers and older teenagers. And although I can't take hormonal birth control, I was looking into alternative types of permanent birth control anyway, so it wasn't I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. So we had the surgery, I had the procedure, I did have to go under anesthesia, and I was told after getting out of surgery in the recovery room that because I had a tilted uterus, like my uterus was shaped like a horn kind of, and like the backside comes up like this, they could not get the tool into that area to delete the endometrium entirely. So they said, you're very likely to still have a period. I was like, okay, well, you know what? If as long as it's shorter and lighter than my previous periods where I've literally been having to have blood infusions, that's fine. What they didn't tell me about was anything about what could potentially happen later on down the road after an endometrial ablation. And the most common problem after the procedure is a chronic condition that develops usually a few years after the procedure has been completed. For me, it was about 3 to 4 years after, I think it was 3 years after I had the procedure. I think I was about 38, 39. And it's called post-endometrial ablation syndrome. And what this is that the uterine lining begins to attempt to grow back, but because of the scar tissue on top of it, it cannot grow naturally. So you will have a sequence of periods or sequence of menstrual cycles where your endometrium is attempting to grow back behind the scar tissue. And this can obviously cause pain, but during the cycle period, if the endometrium ruptures, or if it is a shed behind the scar tissue, it can also cause hematomas. So I've had a few instances where the endometrium has grown back, and then during my regular period cycle has attempted to shed, and it's always incredibly painful. However, during this particular cycle, I believe there was at least 2 hematomas, because I honestly thought I was ready. Like, I wanted to die. The pain was so intense. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't eat. I couldn't use the bathroom. Well, I had to, obviously, because these things don't stop. But all of them, like using the restroom, having to walk around, this all caused me such intense, excruciating pain. Like, I couldn't use a tampon because my insides were so swollen that it was painful to insert a tampon. And it was just a disaster. Unfortunately, she's just yelling. She's not actually talking to anybody. Unfortunately, there's no medical attention that I can receive for the pain, because if I just go into a doctor or ER and say I'm in severe pain, can I get some sort of medication, like a muscle relaxer or pain medication, they're gonna laugh me out of the building. But if I go to an ER and say I'm in intense pain, they're gonna say, okay, well, if let's say that this is a serious enough situation that we want to perform a corrective surgery, the only surgery that they can do to help correct the issue is a full hysterectomy. That's it. There's no other option. You cannot do a second ablation. It's one and done, because the scar tissue is so thin that you are going to burn through the actual uterine lining and cause a perforation. You cannot do a second ablation. The only option after uterine ablation is hysterectomy. So I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't go to the ER. I just suffered. Then that's it. I just fucking suffered. It was my birthday and I was suffering and I was crying. I couldn't stand up without my husband's help. I couldn't go to the bathroom without someone helping me into the bathroom. And even once I was there, I had to just stay there until the pain subsided enough for me to finish the business and then get back to it. I couldn't sit up because my muscles, any of the muscles or the organs surrounding my uterus, anytime they contracted, or if, for an example, my stomach, if I ate, the food in my stomach would push onto my uterus, and it was already so swollen and struggling that I couldn't even eat without pain in my, it sounds ridiculous, and this was something that was never brought up to me. And in fact, I don't think that my doctor even knew about it, because when I was doing my own research, I learned that because of the late onset of endometrial ablation syndrome, many doctors don't know, because their patients don't realize that was the cause. Sorry you guys, I'm back and I look better because I put a filter on. But all I had to say to wrap up was many times, like, people don't go back to their doctors and say, hey, I think that this is an issue because of the ablation that I had. They just assume that there's something else at play, maybe some sort of like PCOS or endometriosis, and that could happen. Like, you can have endometriosis and have an uterine ablation. It's not like mutually exclusive. So it wasn't from until I was like researching, like, why am I struggling with this pain? It doesn't feel like normal cramps. It doesn't feel like childbirth. It's a pain that feels like shredding, like an internal shredding. And it is literally that, because it is the regrown endometrium shredding through the scar tissue to turn into your period for that month. And last month, when I didn't have a period, I think that the endometrium bled into behind the scar tissue and caused those hematomas based on the bleeding patterns that happened on this period. So I just want to put that out there for anyone who either has had an endometrial ablation and wonders what potential side effects could be coming up. If you have had experience with this feeling and you don't know what caused it, but you've had an ablation in the past, or if you're considering an endometrial ablation but you haven't heard about this from your doctor, don't blame your doctor, really, because like I said before, it's still not a very well-known side effect due to the late onset. But if you bring it up with your doctor, hopefully they can look into that and just help you decide if a uterine ablation is right for you. Okay, PSA done. Hope you all are having a great day. Oh, I am having my tteokbokki gimbap leftovers today. I am tired. I feel like I'm worn out. I just feel like worn down. So I'm not even bothering with chopsticks.
Dance like you made